Alright, mixing it up against our opponent today. Queen Marchesa, and still up against Sagada, host of Herons. Not enough mana in there for my liking. I'm not sure how we're going to fare against this opponent, actually, because we have a lot of targeted removal and forcing our opponent to sack and things like that. We have a few board wipes as well, so we might be able to get something going. And we kept the Distress on top because we'll be able to play that on turn 2. Target opponent reveals their hand and they discard a non-land card from it of our choosing. Queen Marchesa is a 4-mana Mardu commander, a 3/3 with Death Touch and Haste. When it enters, we become the Monarch, and at the beginning of our upkeep, if we are not the Monarch, then we get a 1/1 Haste Death Touch Assassin. Let's go for white and black here. We might want to do him to Torak next turn. Okay, my opponent clearly doesn't like the idea of me looking at their hand and forcing them to discard something. You'll occasionally get players like this that really don't like discard or mill, anything like that. I assume it's just like you're messing around with their property, that type of thing. It's the wrong mentality to have because these cards are in Magic for a reason. If black can't use discard, then it has to use spot removal, and your commander doesn't allow me to use spot removal, so that's my only out, and if you're not going to let me play to that, then, well, you might as well just play with yourself. There's much worse discard effects that I could use, like Thoughtseize, for instance, or I think Mind Twist is banned in 1 versus 1, but I could have you discard your entire hand, for instance, and that might actually be worth getting salty over. But it's noteworthy as well that this opponent literally just hosed my deck. I was playing Kozilek, the Great Distortion, and they used Stony Silence against us, which turns off all our mana rocks, which we rely on heavily for that deck. Stony Silence is a rare, and Distress is an M12 common. The card's older than that, but this version is an M12 common. And yeah, to get salty over one but not the other, yeah, I'm just going to assume that my opponent's having a bad day. But telling your opponent that they shouldn't play these cards in the just for fun room just because they don't like them, yeah, I don't know about that. I'm going to give my opponent the benefit of the doubt, but pretty poor play on our opponent's part there. Queen Marchesa versus Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons. Decided to keep this hand. We've got plenty of mana and some removal as well as some hand disruption for our opponent. We will get the we'll get the Smouldering Marsh down because that means that all of our other lands come in untapped. Queen Marchesa is a 4-mana Mardu commander, a 3/3 with Death Touch and Haste. When she enters, we become the Monarch, and at the beginning of our upkeep, if we are not the Monarch, then we get a 1/1 black Assassin token with Death Touch and Haste. And the Monarch allows us to draw a card at the end of each turn, or each of our turns. Let's see here, I think we just have to go for... I want to castigate our opponent, but I think a better idea... Yeah, we'll go for castigate. This is going to allow us to exile an on-land permanent from our opponent's hand. Corrosive, yeah, I don't really care about that, I don't think. Serrated Arrows might be a problem. Zulaport Cutthroat, we have removal for. I'll go after the Serrated Arrows here. Luckily our opponent doesn't have too much going on there. Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons, is a 2-mana Golgari commander, a 2/2. When it deals combat damage to a player, you can put a minus counter on a creature. And when you put one or more minus counters on a creature, you get a death-touching snake. Hapatra can swing in and put a minus counter on herself or onto the Corrosive Mentor to get a snake. And she has decided to put one onto the Corrosive Mentor. This gives black creatures Wither, which means that they deal damage in the form of -1/-1 counters. Let's go in for the Monastery Mentor. I think is okay here. Monastery Mentor will get us lots of tokens. Whenever we cast a non-creature spell, we'll get a token out of that. And down comes that Zulaport Cutthroat, so I don't think we know what else is in our opponent's hand now. Yeah, all our opponent's basics match, which makes it more difficult for us to track what's in their hand. And we'll just let our opponent come through for one. Wear and Tear, don't really care about. We could go for Queen Marchesa and introduce the Monarchy, but our opponent can quite easily take that from us. I think I just want to hold up removal. Yeah, we can hold up Go for the Throat and Swords. We'll get a couple of tokens, and then those tokens can block a snake if it swings in. I think that's alright. A Channeler Initiate, I think that comes in with a minus counter on it. Yeah, it gets 3 minus counters, and then tap and remove one, adds 1 mana of any colour, so if you can consistently get Hapatra through, or throw around minus counters, then putting them onto the Channeler Initiate is a good idea. And because she enters with a minus or 3 minus counters on her, our opponent gets a snake. Okay, coming in with Hapatra this time, so I am going to... we'll go for the throat on Hapatra, and then we'll Swords something with less power. And then I think we're okay to block one of these snakes as well. The least amount of creatures our opponent has in play, the better, because after something like Carnifex Demon or a Black Sun Zenith, our opponent can really chain things together. They need Hapatra out to do it though, so if we can keep Hapatra out of play, then that would be much better for us. I'm going to Swords the Zulaport as well, because that's just going to pile on damage to us over the course of the game. And now that we have a Monk token, I feel more comfortable getting out our Commander now. We can introduce the Monarchy, and we can block everything that our opponent has. Out comes Hapatra again. We've got an Oblivion Ring with her name on it. 2 cards left in our opponent's hand. And as before, I will happily block a snake here with the Monk. Obviously don't want to let that through. Had the snake have hit us, our opponent would have taken the Monarchy. Yeah, our plan here is just to outvalue our opponent. We'll get down another white source and go for that Loyal Apprentice. That's a 2/1 with haste, but it throws out a Thopter at the beginning of combat every turn, as long as we control our commander, which we do. And then we'll go for O-Ring to get another token, and we'll get rid of Hapatra again. They could put Hapatra under the O-Ring and then remove Oblivion Ring with some removal. They do have green mana held up. But no, they just decide to send her to the command zone. I'll just send those in. I want to hold back Queen Marchesa because I don't mind recasting her. If we have to block a Death Toucher or something, I don't mind recasting her. And we've got the Monk back as well. We don't often win with commander damage in Queen Marchesa, so swinging in with her isn't imperative. And Hapatra coming down for 6 mana. We've still got answers for her in Council's Judgment. Yeah, we can get down the plains here, and then, like I say, we've got Council's Judgment. Let's just get some more damage through on our opponent. Gonna see how our opponent blocks here. We'll obviously go in with the Thopters, but Queen Marchesa's coming in as well. They can gang up on her and get rid of her. But they're obviously not going to do that, so we're just getting damage through, and then we will go for Council's Judgment onto Hapatra. Might see a concession from our opponent here. Okay, Bitter Blossom is just even more token generation for us. And Hapatra, yet again. We don't have removal for it this time, though. Maybe our opponent has something in their hand where if they can keep Hapatra in play, then they can get out of this. Maybe a Black Sun Zenith or something like that, but Colligan's Command can get rid of it. 2 damage to any target. And a target player discards a card, I think is what we'll have to do there. Let's get down the Polluted Delta and the Bitter Blossom. And then I think we'll go in with our Monks, our Thopters, and our... Yeah, let's just swing in with everything, that'll be quicker. And then we can pull back the Loyal Apprentice. I think that's okay, actually. Yeah, we're not worried about what our opponent might do with that Hapatra because we can get rid of it at instant speed with Colligan's Command. Okay, just deciding to chump with that creature, Corrosive Mentor. So we got a permanent out of our opponent's field of play. Okay, Creekwood Liege is pretty good. That will also buff Hapatra twice, taking her up to a 4/4, which puts her out of range of Colligan's Command. So I'm going to shock that now. I'll make our opponent discard a card and shock the Hapatra. And we obviously get another Monk token for that. And our opponent discards a Dawn Treader Elk. I think we win next turn if we can go wide on our opponent, which I think we can. I haven't done the maths on that, but I'm pretty sure we can. Let's just crack a fetch quickly. Okay, we just draw into another Plains. We can't buff our prowess creatures. Actually, we can if we go for Tear. We can destroy the Oblivion Ring. This is just to trigger prowess. It'll give all of our prowess creatures +1/+1, just to ensure that we get damage through. And the Oblivion Ring isn't doing anything anyway. And then we can swing in with all of our creatures. And I think that is that. Yeah, I don't think our opponent's even going to bother blocking. That's a good game to our opponent. They played it through. They didn't just quit immediately as soon as their luck had run out. And we managed to get an army of creatures into play and take over our opponent's side of the board. That's really what this deck is aimed at doing, is using lots of spot removal and, well, removal in general, board wipes and things like that. But you can see how many removal cards and hand disruption cards we used there. And it just made our opponent's life hard work. They actually got some quite good Hapatra cards into play, but we managed to deal with those quite successfully. So I hope you all enjoyed that. That was Queen Marchesa, and we were up against Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.